Okay, good morning, students. Welcome to all of you. Now, today, as my fourth endocrinology description, today I am going to explain you the human ovary and its hormones. Ovary is a reproductive organ in a woman. It is a pair of organs found on the lower part of the abdominal canal. These ovary takes the form of pair, is an ovoid structure, and it is hanging in the abdominal region, which acts as both reproductive organ as well as endocrine gland. Hence, it is called as a cytogenic organ. Ovary, a reproductive organ which also behaves like an endocrine organ, secretes two important hormones, namely estrogen and progesterone. Here is the structure of an ovary. Human ovary cross section is drawn here, which is having the outermost layer called as epithelial layer. And inside you find the fibrous connective tissue called as a stroma. And in this stroma, here and there, you find number of arteries, red colored arteries. The hormone secreted from inside this ovary is got diffused into this artery and got dissolved in the blood plasma. The cross section of ovary, the anatomy contains large number of small cells called as fat cells. And inside these cells, there are some epithelial cells got specialized into a ova-producing follicle called as Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle is the final stage inside which you find the ripened ova. And this Graafian follicle is about to release ripened ova out of the ovary. And you find a large number of different stages of these follicles, named as a primary follicle, the smallest one, followed by secondary follicle, slightly enlarged. Tertiary follicle again got enlarged in size, and finally to Graafian follicle, larger in size. And this is having another structure called, this area, this is the structure after the release of egg from the Graafian follicle. So once this Graafian follicle releases the egg, it looks like this. It is called as the ovulatory phase. And another stage is here found, it is called as a corpus luteum. This is called as corpus luteum, where you find the secretion of second hormone, namely progesterone. Corpus luteum is the region from which the cells will secrete corpus luteum. Is a region which secretes a hormone called progesterone. This cross section of ovary secretes estrogen hormone and progesterone hormone. The complete ovary is under the control of two important pituitary hormones, namely follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Let us see the functions of these ovarian hormones, and it's controlled by the adenohypophyseal hormone. Ovary is in a woman is a reproductive organ as well as it is an endocrine organ. Ovary is regulated by two hormones, namely follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Now, this ovary is controlled by follicle stimulating hormone. It is essential for the pre-ovulatory growth and follicles. So right at the second embryonic stage in the fetus, the ovary is grown and the follicle growth is also takes place. And the first phase of this the ovarian follicles, that is primary follicles, develop into secondary follicle into tertiary follicle, and ovary, everything is controlled by follicle stimulating hormone, where there is no any secretion of estrogen hormone. So second month of embryonic fetus, third embryonic fetus in the pregnant woman, small embryo will have the ovary right from the third month of the pregnancy period. And these ovary contain the primary follicle, secondary follicle, no tertiary follicle, and no Graafian follicle. It is all under the control of follicle stimulating hormone. Gonadotropic follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone are collectively called as gonadotropic hormone. They are the primary hormones for the estrogen action. So it is under the control of these follicle stimulating hormone, the estrogen hormone will be secreted later at the age of 12 or 13 in a small girl. Estrogen is a female sexual hormone secreted by the follicle cells, that is particularly the tertiary follicle and Graafian follicle. Tertiary follicle, larger follicle, which develops into Graafian follicle, takes place only at the age of 12. Only that time, these bigger follicles will start secreting estrogen hormone. This tertiary follicle is stimulated by follicle stimulating hormone. Now this ovulation is also affected by luteinizing hormone and estrogen hormone. Now this is the Graafian follicle from which the ova is released. It is stimulated by the estrogen and luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone is another pituitary hormone. Now this estrogen is required for the development of ripened ova. So inside the Graafian follicle, under the control of estrogen hormone, the Graafian follicle develops this ripened ova. This is the ripened egg. This is the egg found inside the Graafian follicle. Now the steroid hormone, estrogen is a steroid hormone. It is essential for ovarian growth. Right from the age of 10 afterwards, the ovary slightly grows in size thanks to estrogen hormone. Then uterine growth and follicular growth also controlled by estrogen. So estrogen is responsible for the ovarian growth, uterine growth, and accessory sexual gland in women. Now, corpus luteum, as already explained to you, is another structure which is formed when there is a ovulation. Once ova is released, this region, once after the release of the ova, it becomes a very scar-like structure. A depression was obtained. This depression is called as corpus luteum, which is responsible for the secretion of the second hormone called as progesterone hormone. So this progesterone hormone is the second hormone. It is secreted by corpus luteum of the ovary. Progesterone, it is a pregnancy hormone. If there is no pregnancy is taking place, this corpus luteum will stop producing progesterone. And stop producing progesterone, this will be completely healed and it comes back to the normal condition where there will be no any further secretion of progesterone hormone. Therefore, estrogen is the main hormone found inside the ovary. It is responsible for the complete ovarian growth, responsible for the change into a tertiary follicle into Graafian follicle. Another function of estrogen is responsible for the development of the secondary sexual character in a girl. Estrogen presence is highly stimulating the secondary sexual character, like the development of the breast, or mammary gland, widening of the pelvic girdle, soft voice, shyness, etc. etc. And estrogen hormone, it is a hormone also responsible for the oogenesis to take place. Now, ova production takes place only after the age of 12. It is completely because of the presence of estrogen hormone, a steroid hormone. So primary sexual character development and secondary sexual character development is completely stimulated by the presence of estrogen hormone. Estrogen hormone, therefore, is called as the hormone for women, which is completely absent in the man. This is the complete structure and function of ovary and ovarian hormones in human body. Thank you very much.